What if the real American dream ends at retirement? More seniors are quietly packing up and starting over abroad. Something is changing, and it's not what most people expected. Robert believed retirement would feel different. After more than 4 decades of steady work, careful budgeting, and consistent saving, Robert expected peace. Not luxury, not extravagance, just stability. Robert imagined mornings without alarms and evenings without financial anxiety. That was the promise Robert believed in. Work hard, follow the rules, and security follows. But when retirement finally arrived, something felt off. The numbers on paper looked fine at first glance. Savings accounts were funded, a 401k had grown over time, Social Security payments were scheduled. Yet when Robert began mapping out the next 20 years, the confidence started fading. Monthly expenses looked manageable today. The problem was tomorrow. The retirement system Robert trusted was built decades ago, during a time when life after retirement was shorter and cheaper. Back then, many workers relied on pensions that guaranteed income for life. Today, pensions are rare. Responsibility shifted quietly. Now the worker carries the weight. Instead of a guaranteed paycheck, Robert has projections. Instead of certainty, Robert has estimates. How long will Robert live? How much will inflation rise? What will medical costs look like in 10 years? These are not small questions. These are life-defining calculations. Robert is not alone. Millions of Americans are facing the same uncomfortable realization. The structure did not collapse overnight. It simply aged. And while life expectancy increased, financial systems did not evolve at the same pace. The unsettling part is this. Robert did everything correctly. There was no reckless spending, no extreme risk-taking, no ignoring advice. Yet retirement does not feel like a reward. It feels like risk management. And this is where the deeper question begins to form. If responsible people feel uncertain, what exactly changed? The answer unfolds slowly. Retirement used to last 10 years for many people. Today, it often stretches 20 to 30 years. That shift alone changes everything. Maria retired at 65 with what financial planners once considered a solid amount. Maria calculated expenses carefully. Maria expected moderate living costs. Maria believed modest habits would protect savings. But time itself has become expensive. Groceries cost more than they did 5 years ago. Utilities increase gradually. Insurance premiums rarely move downward. Property taxes rise even if the house stays the same. Each increase feels small on its own. Together, they compound. Inflation does not announce itself loudly, it works quietly. What costs $2,000 per month today might cost significantly more in 15 years. Yet, Social Security adjustments often lag behind real-world expenses. Savings that once seemed substantial begin to feel fragile when stretched across decades. Maria realizes that retirement is no longer a short chapter. It is a long stretch with no refill station. Income becomes fixed while costs remain flexible. That mismatch creates tension. If Maria withdraws too much early, the money may not last. If Maria withdraws too little, daily life feels restrictive. Every financial decision carries weight. And here's the part that rarely gets discussed. Planning for 10 years is different from planning for 25. The longer the horizon, the greater the uncertainty. Markets fluctuate, healthcare needs evolve, unexpected repairs happen. Maria does not need a catastrophe to feel pressure. Time alone is enough. This extended retirement window transforms what once felt like freedom into a balancing act. It is no longer about enjoying the years. It is about making sure the years remain financially survivable. And if normal living already strains projections, what happens when health becomes unpredictable? That question brings us to the most fragile piece of the puzzle. Healthcare rarely arrives with warning. That is what makes it powerful. Robert enrolled in Medicare and believed coverage would provide reassurance. Medicare helps significantly. That part is true, but it does not eliminate expenses. There are premiums, there are deductibles, there are co-payments, there are services not fully covered. To fill the gaps, Robert purchases supplemental insurance. That adds another monthly expense. The goal is peace of mind, yet the bills continue. Maria experiences a hospital stay that lasts several days. The treatment works. Maria recovers, but the financial aftershock lingers. Follow-up appointments add costs. Prescriptions add costs. Tests add costs. None of these charges are shocking individually. Together, they erode savings faster than expected. The challenge is unpredictability. Food costs can be estimated. Rent can be projected. Utilities follow seasonal patterns. Healthcare does not follow a predictable schedule. It operates on timing no one can control. Even retirees who lived disciplined lives are not exempt. Healthy habits help, but aging itself introduces uncertainty. Medical technology has improved dramatically, and that is good news. Yet advanced care often comes with higher expenses. Healthcare does not need to wipe out an entire account to create stress. A few $1,000s here, a few thousand there. Gradually, reserves shrink. If this breakdown helps you understand what's really happening, subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive. The deeper issue is emotional. When savings dip because of health needs, confidence dips with them. Retirement plans shift from growth to preservation. Every decision feels heavier. And when financial strain combines with housing instability, pressure multiplies. Housing once symbolized stability. Today, it represents volatility. Robert owns a home purchased decades ago. Mortgage payments ended years earlier. That sounds secure. Yet property taxes continue rising. Insurance premiums climb due to broader market conditions. Maintenance costs increase as the house ages. Owning is not cost-free. Maria rents. Each lease renewal brings an increase. Moving costs money. Downsizing does not always reduce expenses significantly because smaller units in many cities carry high demand and pricing. The idea of just moving somewhere cheaper sounds simple. Reality is more complicated. Affordable housing options are limited. Relocating requires deposits, fees, transportation, and emotional adjustment. When housing expenses consume a large portion of fixed income, retirees adapt quietly. They reduce discretionary spending, they delay repairs, they avoid unnecessary travel. Housing is not only about walls and roofs, it represents familiarity. It holds decades of memories. Leaving it is not a casual decision. Some retirees move closer to relatives, others move further from city centers to lower costs. Each move reshapes daily routines and social connections. And here is the subtle shift. When housing becomes unstable, people feel unsettled even if finances remain technically intact. Housing pressure rarely produces headlines. It produces gradual change, step by step, choices narrow. If healthcare drains savings unpredictably and housing tightens monthly budgets, how do retirees respond emotionally? That leads to a deeper layer few people talk about. Robert grew up believing strength meant independence. Asking for help felt uncomfortable. Maria believed self-reliance was a virtue. Admitting difficulty felt like weakness, and these beliefs shaped behavior. When expenses rose, Robert adjusted quietly. When Maria felt financial strain, Maria cut spending quietly. Conversations with family remained positive. Everything is fine became a common phrase. Silence protects pride. It also hides reality. Many retirees qualify for assistance programs, yet participation rates show that eligible seniors often avoid applying, not because the need is absent, because identity matters. After decades of contributing, requesting support feels like crossing an invisible line. The image of being capable and independent is hard to release. This silence creates a dangerous illusion. Outsiders assume stability because complaints are absent. Communities believe the system works because crisis is not loud. But quiet adjustment does not mean comfort. It means endurance. Robert skips certain purchases. Maria delays certain appointments. These choices remain invisible. Over time, silence isolates. Without open conversation, problems appear individual rather than systemic. And eventually, some retirees begin asking a different question. If staying feels harder each year, is there another option? That question has led to a surprising trend. The decision to leave the country rarely happens suddenly. It begins with research. Robert compares monthly budgets across borders. Maria reads about the cost of living in other nations. Conversations start privately, not publicly. Mexico, Portugal, Thailand. These names appear frequently, not because they promise luxury, because they offer affordability. Rent in certain regions can be significantly lower. Healthcare services can cost less out of pocket. Daily expenses stretch fixed income further. For retirees living on predictable monthly income, predictability elsewhere becomes appealing. In the United States, a fixed income may feel tight after housing and insurance. In another country, the same income might cover rent, food, and healthcare more comfortably. This movement is not driven by resentment. Most retirees who leave still appreciate America. They built careers here, they raised families here, but appreciation does not eliminate arithmetic. After years of monitoring every dollar, some retirees seek breathing room. The appeal is not glamour, it is relief from constant calculation. The departure often happens quietly, friends learn later. Neighbors hear after the fact. This pattern raises an uncomfortable question. If financially responsible individuals feel safer aging abroad, what does that signal about the system at home? To answer that, we must examine the assumptions underlying retirement itself. The retirement system rests on several old assumptions. First, life after retirement would be relatively short. That assumption no longer holds. Many retirees live decades beyond age 65. Second, living costs would rise gradually. In reality, housing and healthcare costs have outpaced wage growth in many areas. Third, healthcare would be manageable within normal retirement budgets. Today, healthcare represents one of the largest uncertainties in later life. When these assumptions were formed, demographics looked different. The ratio of workers to retirees was higher. Pension plans were common, medical technology was less advanced and less expensive. Now, individuals shoulder more responsibility. The 401k model shifted investment risk to workers. That structure requires financial literacy, market awareness, and disciplined withdrawal strategies. Not everyone receives training in those areas. When income stops and expenses continue rising, retirees feel like they are running on a moving treadmill. Effort remains constant, but stability feels uncertain. It is important to note that no single decision caused this shift. Economic forces, demographic changes, and policy adjustments all played roles. But from the retiree's perspective, complexity does not reduce stress. It simply makes navigation harder. If millions face similar challenges, the issue extends beyond personal planning. And when confidence in long-term security weakens, something deeper begins to change. Retirement systems do more than distribute income. They reinforce belief. For decades, Americans were taught that hard work leads to stability. That message shaped behavior across generations. When retirement feels uncertain, despite disciplined effort, belief softens. People do not protest, they adapt. Expectations shrink quietly. Younger generations observe these patterns. Children watch parents manage rising costs. Grandchildren hear discussions about relocating. When aging appears financially risky, long-term trust shifts. A society relies not only on economic output, but also on confidence in future stability. If aging becomes associated with endurance rather than comfort, perceptions change. This does not mean collapse. It means recalibration. Robert wonders whether savings would stretch further elsewhere. Maria wonders whether remaining close to family outweighs financial strain. These questions reflect a broader tension. Can a wealthy society align longevity with dignity? That tension remains unresolved. Share your perspective in the comments. Have you seen Robert's experience in your own family? Does Maria's calculation feel familiar?